Welcome to the War and Peace book tag. I'm incredibly excited to get this book tag done because I've been going through War and Peace for the last 2 months, and I can say I've finally finished the book. The review is coming out next week, but I thought it'd be fun to do a little bit of an insider knowledge, books based on characters tag. I did find this tag on YouTube somewhere else, and I'm going to link down the original video that I found down below so you can check it out. But let's dive into some of these characters and the books that I've come across in my life that are inspired by these characters. So I am going to be using my glasses on and off because I am reading this off of the video that I'm seeing here. So number 1 is a book based on Pierre Bezukhov, and that's a book that came to you by chance and unexpectedly became one of your favorites. So that one for me, I have a few books like that, but one of them is The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman. It's a historical fantasy Regency times, and it is a trilogy. There's magic system, you have the romance, you have the historical fiction in it, you have some killer characters and some just great plot overall. It is one of my top series of all time. I just love that it combines the history and fantasy, which are two of my favorite genres. So this book, I don't even know how I came across this book. I think I found it in the library at one point, and it was like this cover, and it just intrigued me. I probably only saw the spine, and then I picked it up, and then obviously all the lace and the black. I like dark themes as well. So this just intrigued me, picked it up, couldn't wait to read the rest. I think it took me a while to find book 2 and book 3, but I finally did, and now they're part of my collection, and the collection is complete. So I'd say The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman for that. Okay, number 2, Natasha Rostova, a book with a bad start, but through the reading, it became one of your favorites. Okay, so this was a difficult one. I guess the way I was thinking about the question was like a book that wasn't good at the beginning, but then it became better at the end, and it's one of my favorites. There was another one that was vying for this position, which is called The 5 Good Indians by, I forget. It's going to come up here. And it's not one of my favorites, but it was definitely one of those books that I had to get used to the voice because just the way it was written did not catch my attention, and I felt like I really had to slog through it until I got to 3/4 of the way through. And then once I did, I don't know, just kind of all, wrapped up nicely. The lights went on in my head. I was finally understanding the voice of the author, but the one that I decided to go with this prompt was Redeeming Love. Not so much because it was badly written at the beginning, just similar circumstances. She's a woman who has a bad beginning. She's grown up in prostitution. That's all she knows. She knows broken relationships and power struggle, and then comes along this man who, what's his name now? Her name is Angel, and Hosea, he's called by God to take her as his wife and to love her and to show her a love that she's never known before. And then she goes back to her old ways, and he has to buy her back. I don't know. I don't think he buys her back. Maybe he does, because she's in prostitution. You'd have to buy her back. Anyways, so it's just a beautiful story of unconditional love, and that's why I picked it, because the character herself, Angel, has a very bad beginning, but in the end, her life is completely redeemed by the love of her husband, Hosea, and through him, God. So it's a very moving book where you feel all the emotions, and the praise that it has received over the years is very well deserved. Okay, the next book I have here is, I have to turn on my computer because it shuts off. Okay, Andrei Bolkonsky, A Book That Plunged into Despair. Oh, I'll get into that in the book review, but Prince Andrei, he was the saddest character and then the happiest of characters at times, and he's such a interesting dichotomy of the two. But I actually don't have this book here with me, but the book that I chose for this is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. It is about a family who goes through the Depression, but they're in the Dust Bowl, and many years they are going through life just barely scraping by, and then they actually decide to the father leaves them, so the mother is there to tend to her two kids, her son and her daughter, by herself. She does have her in-laws, but the father just up and leaves and decides, he's gonna go find a better life somewhere else without his family and neglecting his duties, and he's just a very terrible character in all. But when her son gets really sick because all the dust that they're inhaling constantly over the years makes him really, really sick, and she decides I really have to leave this place. Even though she's tied to the land, they don't want to leave the in-laws behind, and so they go west to California, where there's this promise of better things to come, better life, but they're just plunged into even more despair. So it is a good book to showcase the horror and the despair that people went through. It did have some hopeful moments here and there, but overall it was a very despairing book. So for those who don't like books that weigh heavily down in despair, maybe that's not the read for you. But as I said, I think I overall gave it 4 stars. Okay, number 4, Marya Bolkonsky, the book that you've gifted or recommended the most. Well, this is a very fitting recommendation or book that goes with this book prompt, because Marya is a devout Christian, and that's what she devotes her life to, and so am I. The Bible is the one that I have gifted probably the most or recommended the most, either to family, friends, my children, people who are searching for meaning in life and who don't know their purpose in life, or they want answers, or they just want to know and they're curious. And so I say, well, what does God's word have to say about it, and what answers could there be there for you? So my faith is the most important part of my life. I had many important parts, like my kitty cats, which you're hearing in the background. No, my husband, my family, my friends, my work, my writing, but it all stems for me from a love of God and wanting to glorify him with my life and to serve others and to love others the way that he loves me. So that's why the Bible is the one that has been the most instrumental book in my life. The next one I have here is Mikhail Kutuzov. No, sorry, I'm missing one. Number 5, Nikolai Rostov, a character that you loved and hated at the same time. Okay, I don't think I know of a character that I've ever hated, first of all, so that's a very strong wording to use. I'm going to say character that I liked and didn't like at the same time. I think that's the closest I can get to this prompt, and that is Peeta in the Hunger Games. I don't know what the obsession was with Peeta. Yes, he's nice enough. He's there for Katniss when she needs him. He's her partner. He keeps her alive, which, you know what? Now that I'm listing all these good qualities, I'm like, okay, now I see the appeal. But at the same time, to me, I don't know, maybe he just wasn't developed well enough for me. I just felt bored by him, like almost all the time. He was boring to me, which is not that great. You don't want a partner who's boring, and I just couldn't get over being bored by him. You see, I just preferred Gale overall, because at least, even though he wasn't perfect and he made mistakes, at least he put a stake in something and there was something to lose for him and he was passionate about something, and I just felt like Peeta just kind of stayed the same. Like there wasn't that much passion, no life. And I understand he went through the Hunger Games and it broke him maybe. Now I'm just going on a rant. So I like some qualities of his, but at the same time I just don't like him. Like he's just too boring for me. If you loved Peeta in the Hunger Games, maybe you have a reason why to like him that I'm not seeing, or maybe you can give me an answer that counteracts why I'm bored of him and why I shouldn't be bored of his character. Please help me out if I'm in the wrong, or maybe just share your opinion on this, but that's my opinion and it hasn't changed. I've read the books through once, I've seen the movie several times, nothing is sparking for me for Peeta. So that's that character. Okay, number 6, Mikhail Kutuzov, an unpopular book that you love. Okay, so again, I was thinking, my brain right away was like, oh, a book that most people don't like but I love, but I couldn't really think of one. I mean, I don't know, it's hard to tell. So I decided to go with this prompt in a different direction of a book that not many people know about, and that hence that's why it's unpopular, but one that I love. And it's actually one of my favorite books, and that is called Ishmael by E.D.E.N. Southworth. She's a Victorian novelist. I've never heard her name circulated in the book world before, so I'm assuming not many people know of her. She wrote a few other books. The sequel to Ishmael is Self-Raised, and then The Hidden Hand, which is more of like an adventure, young woman. I think she's an amateur sleuth. Again, I haven't read it in a while, but Ishmael just really, I don't know, had everything in it that I loved, and the characters were striking, and it made me feel things, and I've got to read this book again. It's probably been close to 10 years since I've read it, but it made that strong of an impression on me. You know, before this book tag, I was going through my Goodreads list to see, the books that could fulfill these prompts, and it was interesting how there were some books that had such a low rating, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that just didn't work for me. But then there's books that I rated like 4 or 5 stars, and I'm thinking, I read that? Like, I don't remember reading it, but it didn't make even an impression on me, but supposedly I liked it. Like, it's just so strange how that happens, right? Anyway, so Ishmael by E.D.E.N. Southworth. I'm gonna read it again sometime. I don't know if I can get to it this year, but you should read it because it's good. Okay. Number 7, Boris Drubetsky, a book with a social ascent. So for this one, I chose Lady Tan's Circle by Lisa C. And that is one that I just listened to recently as an audiobook as part of my book club. Not so much that she rises, well, I guess in society. So it's about this, I think it's China. I'll be so disappointed if I'm making a mistake. It's like Japan. I think it's China. Okay, 15th century China, and it's about this young girl. She's born in a privileged family, and she becomes paired with this young girl, a friend who's learning to be a midwife, and she is going to be learning how to be a doctor for women, because back in those days, male doctors couldn't look at women. They would talk to them on the other side of a screen, ask them their symptoms, and then give them medicine, which, that doesn't do anything. Or, I mean, maybe it could, but most probably it doesn't. So this privileged, Lady Tan, she's not Lady Tan initially, but anyway, she becomes that. And she is learning the ways of being a doctor for women. But when she gets married off, and quickly she realizes the social hierarchy in that new system is that the mother-in-law is the top dog. And then from there, there's the places of the concubines and her and the servants. And so in that book, throughout her lifetime, based upon the things she does for the families and whether she carries a son or daughters, her social ascent throughout the book goes up, and even the one of the midwife friend also goes up by certain circumstances. And yeah, so it was very interesting. I didn't know a lot of these things, and it was definitely done in a way that felt akin to the times, and it was just very interesting overall. So Lady Tan Circle. Next one that I have is number 8, The Kuragins, a disappointing book with a beautiful cover. And I have this in my notes. I knew I was going to forget one of them. Okay. I can't remember what I picked now. It's not here, is it? No. Okay, it's going to come back to me. I'm going to come back to that one. Number 9, Anna Pavlovna, a gossipy book. So that's kind of funny. Anna Pavlovna is like basically the book gossip in War and Peace, and she's the one that throws all these parties and is trying to, manipulate people here and there. So I don't really know too much of a gossipy book. I don't tend to like gossipy books, or if there's gossip in books, it's just as sucky as when it is in real life, so why would I read about it? I don't know. The one I could think of that was maybe the closest to this was The Arrangement, and I haven't read it probably for like 5-6 years. It was a book club book, so definitely not one I would normally gravitate toward. It's about this couple, I think they're married, that decide to give an open relationship a go. Yeah, it was really interesting. They decided to try it because friends of theirs were doing it, and at one point it was like, it seems to be going okay, but obviously everything kind of crashed and burned at the end, and obviously I called it. But I think I remember gossip in that book, or just people talking about other people's lives and other people's relationships, and yeah, it was okay. Definitely, I was happy that the author showed the natural consequences of breaking your commitment to the person you commit to, the one and only person you commit to in marriage, and showing how that destroys relationships and significantly alters lives for not the best ways. So there's that one. What else? Okay, number 10, Dolokov, favorite villain. Yeah, Dolokov in War and Peace was also a very interesting villain. You wanted to hate him most of the time, but there were like 1 or 2 moments where he's like, he's maybe not so bad. I'll talk about that next week. But my favorite villain is the Darkling from the Shadow and Bone series. Hands down the best villain I've ever read, because the way that he justifies what he's doing in order to do good, but in the struggle of doing good, he does harm to a lot of people. And the way that Leigh Bardugo fleshed out his past and how that intrinsically had to, how that affected his choices in the present and his goals for the future, and how he had emotions that were not completely blocked off, that he was still at times listening to his conscience, even though his conscience was going against what his darkest desires were. He was just such a complex character. He was the best villain I've ever read, because he was fleshed out so well. So I loved him, but but obviously you can't stand with him because a lot of his choices are terrible. And he's just got that dark broodiness, which I love. So that's my favorite villain. And the last one here is Platoon Karataev, a book that made you reconsider your life or a specific aspect of it. And this one I'm excited. I think I've shared this before in a book tag, but it's just such a critical book for me in my life. High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. I found this online. I think it was an ad. I don't know what the ad said, but it was free. The book was for free. All I had to pay was shipping and handling, which came to like $7, so less than $10 for a book. And I bought it, and this book did change my life for the better, to make me realize that, am I seeking clarity in my life? Am I generating my energy? Am I, how productive am I? What kind of influence do I have on people? And am I demonstrating courage? And from this book has launched an incredible journey for myself in personal development. Now I'm part of his Growth Day app. I have his high performance planner. Like, these are just essential tools in my life to keep me on track for my goals, but not only that, to be the person that I aspire to be for myself and for others. And this book is the one that started it all. So probably the the book that I recommend second most to the Bible is this one. Now, I know that his Motivation Manifesto is also highly recommended. I haven't read that one yet, but I've heard so much good stuff. Again, like, been on the bestseller list for weeks and weeks and weeks. So that one is a definite that I need to read that sometime. Written kind of in the style of like the Declaration of Independence, which that document in itself is wow and aspiring and beautiful. And anyways, I'm not going to go too much more into that, but highly recommend this book. If you want to change in your life, and you want to know how to enact that change, read this book. Okay, what am I missing here? Oh, the Kuragins. I don't know if I'm picking the one that I thought of. It's a disappointing book with a beautiful cover. Oh man, I had it, and I lost it. Okay, I'm just gonna pick a random one because this other book was kind of in my head to put itself forth as this prompt, but it's A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I read the whole Avatar series, and I think that's the last book in the series so far. It's Nesta's story. I was really looking forward to it. It does have a beautiful cover, with like the mask with silver flames or orange flames on a silver background. Anyways, it's pretty, whatever. And it was okay, but it was way too long. Like, a good third of it, maybe even half of it, could have been left out. Like, that's how draggy it went on. So I only gave that one 2 stars, which is kind of really sad, because overall I am a Sarah J. Maas fan for her fantasy series. I love the Throne of Glass series. I did read her first House of Presence book, which I really did enjoy, and that one's a chunker, but I didn't feel like it dragged most of the time. But the Nesta one, no, I don't know what happened there. It was a lemon in the whole series. Anyways, those are my answers for the War and Peace book tags. So if you've read War and Peace, then maybe you're like, oh, okay, I get why, how these tags pertain to the characters. If you have not, well, you'll find out more about these characters next week. I'm so excited to flesh this out for you guys. But please pick 1 or 2 prompts, or hey, if you want to answer all of them, go ahead and answer all of them and stick them down in the comments below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on books that make you think of those prompts. So have a great week. Take care.